incredible records. This store is now 27 years old, and if you're looking for something, I can usually find it. We are located in downtown Sebastopol, a town of 7,000 people. It's a wonderful spot for incredible records to land. You'll find subgenres of classical music, of jazz, of folk, of blues, of rock, of world beat, and this sublimates my musical heart and my musical soul, and people just gravitate and they know when they pick something out of here that has my full stamp of approval.
Down here on Main Street, so it's always got the traffic, and he must know everybody in town. He's one of the best salesmen I've ever met. You know, he's talked me into buying good stuff, and he always leads me to something really cool. So it's pretty nice. He's a pretty incredible guy, and the stuff he's collected over the years is just simply amazing.
Over here are the drawings that Jim Morrison did when he was 14. I got them from his best friend that used to draw with him in Alameda High School. Over here is a guitar, one of the guitars I played, American Woman. It was given to me by Randy Bachman. That's one of Bruce Springsteen's tour jackets, and very few copies of these are made, and it's a very rare jacket.
I'm very fond of music of the 30s and 40s and the early jazz. So given that kind of interest in early jazz, and then you come to a record store like this, which has a fabulous collection, and so I just would come here as a regular. You might call it an addiction. I'm fighting it, but I think I'm losing.
I'm wearing this shirt, music is life and the rest is details. I don't really know what that means, to be honest. It can mean anything to anybody, I guess. Oh my God, music to dance, to bring back a memory, to evoke a mood, and music is healing. You go through different traumas, I always prescribe music. Music is totally essential to life.
Hi, my name is Jeff Connerton, and I've been coming to Jonathon's store for about 10, 11 years since I came to California. I'm from the East Coast originally, and as soon as I walked in, I felt right at home. It's the best record store around, and where else could you find the littlest outlaw? Now come on, folks, think about it. And every time I come in here, Jonathon always has something to say, and it's almost always relevant to about something or other. It's just a great store. He's helpful, he's knowledgeable, and he's a heck of a lot of fun. And it's just it's the place to come. And so there you have it.
Music is the sinew that binds my life with passion. I'm intertwined with music, and it's interesting because I can't play really anything. My guitar playing's mediocre. I play a pretty good blues harp, but I can't really tell the notes from the other, yet I'm so involved in music that I can't imagine my life going on without hearing something great. I always search for something, a sound I've never heard before. Like I was listening last week to music from islands from all over the world, and they're not connected with the mainland. And I was fascinated by the idea that even these islands that are isolated produce music. But I'm always aware, I have to say, of the silence beyond the music, underlying the music. And I'm always aware when I hear music of the silence underneath it. And that's very important to plug into too, for your spiritual essence, well-being.
Sarah, welcome. Hey, Jonathan, how's it going?
Good.
Got some CDs if
great.
You want to check out anything new?
Yeah. I got some great stuff for you.
Okay.
This section's all independent folk artists. All came in used, so there's probably 100 CDs in there. Check them out.
Awesome.
That's the first John Prine album.
Yeah, great.
Sarah, you've been coming here for years, right?
Yeah, 5, 6
5
years.
years.
Yep.
Whenever I get certain things and I know your taste, I always think about you and I say,
Yes.
okay, Sarah would go for this.
You know exactly what we
Yeah,
like,
I
and
can
that's a
tell
good thing.
I demand the very best of my customers. I demand that my customers come with great stories. I want to share things with them. I want them to share things with me.
It's like a candy store.
Yeah.
I don't let my husband come in here.
He came in once.
Did he?
Yeah.
Without my
He
permission?
came in with you. I love my customers. And my customers actually have become my friends. You know, they know intimate details about me. I know intimate details about them, and that's the way I like to keep it. This store is more than a store that sells music. In a sense, it's like an old trading post in the Appalachian Mountains where people would come to buy their goods, but they'd also come to share stories and to share information. Here, everybody has a story, everybody has a past, everyone has a history, and I enjoy that. Growing up in Montreal is one of the greatest gifts. The city is an island in the middle of the river, and there's a mountain in the middle of the city, and it's a very small, compact city. And it's a city made up of the French, of course, and immigrants. Growing up, my father, who owned a record company, we had thousands of records in our house. I probably had about 300 to 500 in my room. The first record my father gave me was Pete Seeger Sings Topical Songs, and I said, "What does topical mean?" And he explained it to me, but I didn't understand it, but it didn't matter because the music was just so fantastic. The biggest gift that he gave me was music and literature, books. He'd bring home books every day from the used bookstores. He'd bring home records every day. Great records with stories on them that fueled my imagination. And you remember, I'd wake up in the morning as a little kid, and the first thing I did before I'd have breakfast was put my record player on.
Yeah.
My father is my best friend. I treasure him so much.
Do you remember in 1964 there was a group that came on the Ed Sullivan Show called the Beatles,
I heard of them.
and they were in bed.
Yeah, but
My
we weren't
two sons-
asleep. We were never asleep.
And we came in and we said, "Jonathan, Brian, you got to get up and you got to take a look at this group." "Oh, what, we want to stay in bed." "No, you got to take a look at the Beatles. This is the Beatles. What are the Beatles?" And that was the first
I
time
looked
that
at
they
Brian,
were
I
on.
said, "They want us to see bugs? Are they crazy?"
I just have to say this. What helped me understand you is what the Beatles meant to me. A month or so afterwards, I started letting my hair grow. I took off my tie. I wouldn't wear a white shirt. I went out and I bought colored shirts. I went into stores meeting buyers, and they say, "Well, what the hell has happened to you?" And I said, "I'm with the times now."
We are stardust, we are golden, just like the Joni Mitchell song about Woodstock. I was so excited to get to Woodstock. This was going to be terrific. I was 15 years old. I remember vividly my mother at the top of the stairs and the duplex apartment they lived in as I was leaving for Woodstock. She's screaming at me, "You can't go, you can't go, you're going to get into drugs." With her wailing behind me, I got on a bus to Woodstock. And what an incredible feeling that was. 3 weeks later, I'm in 10th grade and the math teacher is yelling at me for not doing my homework. And I looked up at him and I said, "Hey man," and he said, "What man?" And I said, "I was at Woodstock." And he goes, "What does that have to do with math?" And I said, "I'm a child of the universe and your rules don't apply to me." And that's when I decided I was going to leave, I was going to make the break, I was going to walk out and change my name and start a new life.
Which you did.
There was why I left home was that there was a thirst in me, there was a sense of adventure. The 60s were happening and they provided a great excuse for me. All the books I had read spoke to me of romance, of adventure, living this incredible life. And I realized that there were no laws, there were no rules, except what I make up. It was a blank slate, and out of that blankness, out of that void, I still would have to carve my rules and my philosophy, and that's what I set out to do and did. I realized I had to reinvent myself. And Jonathan was a name I wasn't comfortable with. It bespoke my Jewish heritage, but I was going to be bigger than that, I thought. And I gave myself the name Huckleberry. I was going to grow up through my own tutelage of the rules of the street and the road and whatever life is going to throw at me, and I was going to give myself to that greater life experience. Just left home, reinvented myself with a new name, declared myself an orphan, by the way. I told everyone I had no parents. I was from New Mexico, and I was an orphan that was raised in a circus, and my name was Huckleberry. And everyone just accepted, whatever. And I used to say my name was Huck LeBerry, my father was French, and my mother had a sense of humor. And people believed me for years. It was just a joke.
Huckleberry.
And used to get letters to Huck LeBerry.
That's right.
And I was Huck and Huckleberry, and it was my name for 8 years. I'd wake up, and every morning was a morning of a possibility.
And you were away from us for quite a while, and we didn't know where you were. And I was up in Ottawa, and there's a newspaper that they, this particular...
It was the underground newspaper, the Georgia Straight.
Yeah, well, they were selling it, and they said, "Do you want to see the latest Georgia Straight here in one of the stores?" So, sure. And there's my son, Jonathan, on the front cover, and it said, "Power to the people." And I said, "That's my son. I haven't seen him for a while." And it was quite something.
On the streets of Vancouver, there were like 10,000 hippies, and it was incredible, and they just accepted me. I was at a demonstration, and there's that picture of me on the cover of an underground newspaper leading a demonstration.
It was Mummy's brother and wife who said, "You know, if it was our son, we would disown him." And I said, "What do you, something that I couldn't believe. To disown your son because of free thoughts, and he's going through a stage, but look at the era that we're living in. The world has never seen an era like this before."
I felt that my life was going to take on a larger sense, and I was destined for certain things.
But sometimes you were just a little bastard.
Oh, I know that. That goes with the territory. I lived in communes for years. Communal life was we shared everything. And there's probably about easily 15 to 20 people that would come in and out of the commune, and people would come from other countries and other communes and crash at our place. And it was a very vibrant community within the house. And I remember one night there was a knock at the door, and it was another commune, and they were from the Logos commune doing the underground newspaper, and they had decided they had enough with the paper, and they're all leaving to Vancouver Island to form a circus, and they wanted to know if our commune would take over the paper. And we excitedly made plans to become editors. All of a sudden, overnight, we became editors of the underground newspaper called Logos. Over here is a copy of the underground paper that we did in Montreal. It's a Logos paper. We made it look like the Montreal Gazette, but we changed the G, and we put the headline, "Mayor shot by dope crazed hippie." The mayor had to go on TV to say that he was not shot, and people started being hippies up on the street, and pandemonium occurred. But if you opened it up, it was all psychedelic drawings and layouts and overlays. And what's interesting about Logos, the underground newspaper, is that we're very democratic, very communal. We had a room in the house. We had 8 rooms, and one of the rooms in the house had a dresser, and in that dresser was all the money that the newspaper made, and it was just stashed in this dresser drawer, probably thousands of dollars. And our motto was, "Take what you need, not what you want." The cops are coming in and arresting us all the time. They had this penchant for kicking down our door, and they were targeting us because we were a political newspaper. We were pretty outrageous in what we said and did, and our landlord would get angry about the door being kicked down, and he'd have to replace the door all the time. I remember one time I was sitting outside on a ledge eating granola and watching the traffic and thinking about what I wanted to do that day, and I saw 2 paddy wagons pull up in front of the commune, kick down the door and race in, and I only had time enough to say, "Hey guys, we're getting busted." And they came in and they took everybody in the commune away and left. They didn't realize I was on the ledge, And that was just another day in the life of the commune. But anyways, the landlord was angry that he came to see us about the door being kicked down. He'd have to replace it. So we decided to get together and we marched down the street in a procession. And I remember we had a flute and we had a drum and we marched down to the Montreal police station. We presented them with this key in this little box with some fluff in it. And we said, here's the key. And they said, key for what? And we said, the key to our commune. You can have the key because our landlord's getting angry that you keep busting down the door. And they said, get out of here. And they wouldn't take the key from us. And they just loved kicking down our door. I guess it was that, I don't know. They got their exercise that way. I hitchhiked 19 times across North America. I loved hitchhiking. It was great therapy. I can stick out my thumb and I loved the idea of leaving a place with no money and seeing what it was to not eat for a couple days, testing myself. The sun was rising higher and I felt glad for my persistence at an early start. The only way to get anywhere when you hit the road is right in the morning before citizens awake to go about their duties. My spirit travels far with the wind that blows mightily with my hair where I sit. My spirit travels wide with other spirits of past times, with people I love and whose physical presence is not near. There's no embarrassment or ill thoughts then as you shift up your pack and walk through town with only the silent and unaccusing shadows of a night lightly lingering. Well, there I was on the highway first and waiting in the face of early morning yawning travelers, one of whom might give me a lift. The road was terrific in those days because people helped you, and I always bragged I can go to any commune in North America and find a place to stay. I got to a point where I was burnt out with politics and the political life, and I wanted to go to California and kind of get more within myself, stuck out my thumb. And lo and behold, I got one ride all the way to Stinson Beach. I remember crawling out to the beach, and the first person I met was Grace Slick from Just an Airplane. She had a house there, and we talked about the weather, and I saw someone coming down on a horse, and another person playing guitar, and a person naked on the beach. And I thought, oh my God, this is hippie heaven. Jerry Garcia lived down the road. I went up to him, and I got a job working. He said, what can you do? I said, what do you need? He said, gardener. I said, I'm your man. And I also got a job with Ron Racco, their manager, lived down the street gardening. And I have to say right here now, I was the world's worst gardener. And by the way, I wasn't the gardener for any marijuana. Let's get that straight.
One of the things that I remember very vividly is that for a while you weren't in touch with us.
Right.
And I had a vacation coming up. So it took Mummy and we went into Vancouver and then we came down to San Francisco. We know that he's in the area around San Francisco. Let's go and let's see whether we can find him. We had no idea.
And you knew I had talked about Stinson Beach a lot.
And that's all we knew. And as I was driving, there was a hitchhiker on the road and we stopped. Where are you going? I said, I think it's Stinson Beach, but I'm not sure. He said, okay, that's where I'm going, and I'll be able to give you directions.